It's a third line day. We are exploring gate 43, and the third line is called Expediency. When we come to the end of the lower trigram, we come to the line of bonds made and broken, and the theme of irresponsibility. And here it is called Expediency. The third line has the potential to be both introspective and projective. And it's looking to the other side for the first time because lines 1 and 2 don't really know there's anything else. And here, of course, in the 43, we have to keep in mind that in most cases, the 23 will be there on the other side. In the exaltation, the powerful drive for regeneration that will, when breakthrough is threatened, use any means, align with any force, and endure any condemnation to achieve the goal. A certainty in knowing which can withstand condemnation. This is a third line mind that will experiment with externalizing, with putting out its knowing. It will try to explain itself, and it will find out on the way that its knowing was not necessarily something that was mutative. And so it just met resistance. The trial and error, bonds made and broken mind is going to find out what it thought it knew it didn't actually know at all. Mostly or usually because it didn't learn it from the beginning. It was a surface knowing. And the moment that the mind got into a place where it had to deal with that knowing in depth, there's the realization of, uh-oh, that wasn't my knowing. But the gift of the third line is that they just keep on banging into things and they build up a thick skin. They're very resilient and they can deal with any condemnation that comes their way. In the detriment, we have an oversensitivity to condemnation that may preclude justified expediency and result in failure. Individual insight abandoned in the face of condemnation. Everybody's life process operates through every aspect of a line. It's the way it is. Everybody gets to live out those equations. You know, even if you have a fixture in the line, if the line is fixed either to the detriment or the exaltation, it doesn't mean that you don't know the other side of that. You do. It's just that you are kind of fixed into one slant of it. There are times when you don't like condemnation because that's only natural, and it will depend on the influences that get in your way. But the nature of the third line is that it can stand up to that. It just becomes very sensitive over time. Ra had this line. He said that he learned a lot about it when he was a child because he would say, I know about something that he actually didn't know anything about at all, and he would get hammered for it. And he'd feel really uncomfortable with that. The challenge to his knowing, even though his knowing was wrong, was hard to take. Knowers don't easily accept such things, and it feels personal. It is the knower who is attacked, not the knowing, because the knower is the mutative force, and their knowing is separate. So when it comes to the other attacks them. Ra talked about this in the context of the nature of his experience with the voice and the information that he was given. He said that it didn't matter how many people told him he was crazy, it made no difference. He did not listen to them. His knowing was very clear. He had the capacity to withstand the condemnation. The transpersonal process is a different process, always. Here, the gift is the ability to know the other side socially, to come to grips with the 23, and to find out how to get the explanation across. You know, not to have someone tamper with the knowing, but to try to avoid having someone tamper with the explanation of the knowing. And that requires a gift of the other, of recognizing the other. And that can only come when we start getting a little bit of the transpersonal energy in. The third line is not fully transpersonal, remember, but they're kind of a little bit of they have an element of it because they're bumping into the other. So they know that there is something else there. So the nature of this third line is to get its knowing out. Doesn't matter what, doesn't matter how, which can be very dangerous, of course, because if they don't know what they're talking about, then they get into a lot of trouble. The real dilemma of the knower is whether or not they can live with their own knowing. And for a great many people, it's a constant dilemma. Can I continue to project my knowing out and put up with having all these people saying, you're wrong? Now, this is something that every knower goes through and has to face at some point in their lives. So the grounding coming through gate 23 in the third line, which is called individuality. Third lines are very, very beautiful, our third lines, very courageous. These are people who are not afraid to offer their knowing. And remember that what they know this week, they can discover is wrong, and next week they'll have bumped into something else and they'll tell you they know something else. Bonds made and broken, trial and error, this knowing, that knowing. But they're delightful to listen to. They bring something fresh all the time. They bring you their unique knowing, and they wait and see what happens when they bang it off the wall. The moon. The moon has been in gate 25 since 332, the G center, gate of innocence and unconditional love. It moves into gate 17 at 1246. This is the Ajna gate of opinions, bringing the energy of being able to form opinions by projecting our mind into the future in order to be of service. This is a logical collective gate. It wants to share its opinions, and they must be based in fact so that it can withstand criticism and testing in order to be credible. Next, the moon moves into gate 21 at 2156. This is the heart center gate of control. It's actually called biting through. It's the gate of the hunter or the huntress. And it is forming a channel with Jupiter, the money line. This is the 2145, so Jupiter is in the 45. This is the channel of a materialist, the channel of manifestation. This channel brings together the energies of the ruler in gate 45, together with the prime minister in gate 21. It's a channel that can have great impact. It's a manifestor channel, and it tells us that life on the material plane must be fully embraced. This channel loves to make money through the power of its ego, and it very often likes to do this alone. It's very much a solopreneur kind of a channel. Doesn't like being told what to do. Both the ruler and the prime minister are kind of at the top of their own tree. They like to be in control. So this is a powerful, powerful tribal channel. And the final moon gate for today is gate 51 at 0703. And this is the gate of shock, arousing, thunder over thunder. It's another heart center gate in the centering circuit. The energy that it brings is that of needing to test ourselves in order to be the first at something or the best at something. It's a gate that really wants to be unique. There can be a competitive edge to this gate, and it can also manifest as courage or as its binary, which should be foolhardiness. It can be an energy which shocks others and attracts shock to itself as well. If this is a gate that you have consistently in your design, then you are designed to, or you're equipped to handle shock. Okay, gate 3. No, line 3. Line 3 in gate 43. Done. Thank you very much for joining me. I will see you tomorrow for the 4th line, and yeah. No, I'm coming. Matt Blackbird. I will, I'll go feed the blackbirds, and I will see you tomorrow. Thank you. Go gently. Bye-bye.